And in this chapter, I think what I'm trying to do is well, just continually to increasing some of the variety of our design, which is by duplicating some of the element. Um, yeah, but when we try to increasing the more diversity on our design is there's many ways. For example, like I think water is like floating around, so I think by duplicating the shape and form, I can creating the kind of rhythm, and also but what's the guideline uh for us to doing that, right? I think one thing for sure is just applying to something that we talked about previously, which is um you know big, medium, and small. That's always a very important guideline when we try to adding more elements. So yep, that's basically what I'm doing right now. It just I still pay attention to big, medium, and small because I think sometimes we have a for sure we have a million of choice to do millions of different things when we try to design. But as you can see, one of the way is just doing what I'm doing right now. When we had an interesting, nice element, we can simply just duplicate it and array them, or just using a very simple way to, for me, this one is like I just using same element to, duplicating and moving on top it, sorry, and duplicate it again, right? So it's quite simple approach, and of course, then just following the big, medium, and small. This approach, it's just very simply giving us a nice design. In my opinion, I feel like I think this is quite interesting um elements. And of course, right now I'm adding waterfall, which is exactly like what I'm doing previously, which is adding the another level of a contract between material, color, shape, and phone language. But at the same time, remember, our phone language of this architecture is inspired by water, so they should be naturally, you know, good partner for each other, right? Well, at least that's I think so. I wish for that could happen, because that's basically the whole entire goal, entire purpose that I doing, right now is because I want to, make this those elements have a certain level of contrast, but at the same time they can have a cohesive and just look nature to fit in together. So finger crossed, and sometimes they could not work out for sure. Um, but this is exactly what we try to do right now. Not just finding the right answer immediately. This is just a visual development process. And next thing I wanted to do is to design something maybe in the foreground. I was thinking about, can I adding like another level of interesting design in the foreground, right? I thinking maybe I can duplicating. I really like this arch, both in top and the bottom, and I think, can I duplicating the shape and just emphasize it. Like my previous talk about, just repeat, and but also repeat along with the idea of big, medium, and small, right? I think, can I think previously when what I'm doing is quite interesting, and I kind of happy about the result, and I was thinking about, can I do it again? Can I make it again? But as spoiled earlier, but for actually, this thing what I'm doing is actually kind of didn't work out, and I didn't use it in the end. But I, of course, I'm still using this element in the background, but I didn't successfully doing something interesting in the foreground. I think it's because right now, as you can see, the thickness of this element looks kind of like some kind of metal. Well, I would say, if it makes sense if it is made by metal, if it is made by stone, it could make sense, because previously I'm talking about like maybe this civilization building, this architecture, they inspired by the power of water, and also we got this fantasy setting, so maybe they got some kind of, who knows, amazing architecture technologies that can make the stone just really sing. But anyway, I think if I really want to develop and deliver the kind of feeling, I think that could, maybe I can figure a way later. But I kind of just feel like, yeah, for now, I just didn't do it. I didn't do it in the very success way because I think, well, visual, yes, again, visual development is time consuming. It's in the I didn't, so I just feel like, man, all right, I do this kind of didn't make sense. I feel like, this is kind of looks like a metal, some kind of uh, uh deco element. I don't feel it makes sense if the stone is makes sense to have this kind of thickness. And so I just, when I have spent some time to develop this idea, and I feel like, this looks also, kind of looks like art deco style. It's just kind of weird, because art deco is kind of suggesting something like well, entirely different than the feeling I want to deliver. Like in, I think, for example, in Lord of Ring, I feel like there's a lot of artists using art deco for dwarf. Anyway, it's kind of they using the language for entirely different civilization and the culture in their in for example Lord of Ring. And it just didn't um it's not the initial idea that I got it for this, you know this fantasy civilization. Even I didn't put in a very good and the proper time to think about it. But one thing for sure is like I don't think this civilization were using Art Deco as their main language. You know, for some reason, I guess that's just my gut feeling. But anyway, it didn't work out. But I do get something interesting design. I think this could definitely later on using on somewhere else, or who knows, maybe like I talk about, visual development take time. So maybe I later on I will think about the proper way to using this kind of design in our our things. Who knows? But anyway, it's good access. It's really a good access. And talk about access. When I do this tutorial, I didn't actually do much fantasy thing. So when I do this tutorial, I was kind of surprised myself. It's like, yeah, well, I just follow the process I am talking about, and I kind of doing it while I'm thinking it, and also while I'm access to do fantasy genre, and the result is kind of I'm surprising. I feel like pretty good. I'm happy about myself, and I'm from Asia, so that's rarely to happen in Asia. Like you're happy about yourself or something. And well, anyway, um, yeah. So as well, in a way, I guess, kind of waste your time a little bit because you are seeing me doing this. For example, doing this design and kind of didn't work out. But well, overall, I think this chapter want to talk about, to continually push the design using the phone language and also apply all the design principle that we talked about previously. And sometimes it work out and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, we learning new things, and I think that's great. So yeah, see you in the next chapter. Um, yeah,